Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Friday, August 23rd. We're starting early and I think most people knowing my sleep schedule probably could guess that's because I haven't been to sleep since a long time ago. Maybe slightly less than 20 hours ago. So I was in this position where I could either do it somewhat close to the time I should stream or get nowhere with it and very possibly end up streaming around 11 or 12 in the evening. So we're going to just try and power through this. Speaking of powering through things, here we can get rid of that weapon daily quest for 50 gold that I did not want to do, and get a much better offer of defeating 3 Delivarian heist bosses. We're on the European account, which starts us off playing the Tavern Brawl. What was the decks we needed to work with? Shaman or Warlock? I think we go with Shaman. I think we take Murloc Shaman for convenience sake, copy it, and we lock that in for our Tavern Brawl game. I don't think you actually lock it in this. That's only Brawl Seams where you lock your deck in permanently. So I was capable of playing a couple more hours of Torchlight. Really feels like we might be a fifth to a fourth of the way done at 4 hours into Torchlight. It is an accelerated experience, but it does also feel like some of the things are just different for different sake, different from Diablo, but not obviously better than Diablo. And it does feel like there are some things thrown into Torchlight 1 that kind of just don't really make sense. The fishing doesn't really make sense. The fact that you have this dog or cat pet that is just a second inventory you can send back to the store kind of makes sense until you think, well, why can't you just disenchant those items where you're standing? Like, why do you have to wait? It takes about 2 minutes on me. Like, it's not a considerable amount of time right now. Perhaps once I get deeper and deeper into the dungeons, it'll take longer to send the pet back. But right now, it's a super short amount of time. So that doesn't make a lot of sense. The fact that there really is only one dungeon in the entire game of Torchlight, from what I recall playing it several years ago. Also puts you in this odd comparison to Diablo 1 where you were walking around the overworld quite a bit in at least the first act of Diablo 1, going to different caves that weren't connected to main caves, fighting in the overworld. There was just a little bit more variety, whereas in Torchlight you have a city that's just you have to load into, and then you have random portals that take you to random challenge areas that are randomly generated, I'm pretty sure, of just cut and paste locations and hallways and tunnels effectively, which the cut and paste of those designs aren't amazingly varied or good so far from what I've seen. Then you have a side story section that barely is anything, that is also a portal, and there might be another portal or two that you run into, but
shall we make a storm?
I wouldn't even be 100% certain on that. Go ahead and kill this. Just in the turn. My server, it's set almost a completely finalized point as far as I'm concerned. I'm very happy with Nextcloud. I did realize that a lot of the things that I had to do for OwnCloud, remounting using BindFS, the data folders on the RAID array so that other programs like Calibre, which is an ebooks management software, could deal with those files and read those files. You don't really need that in Nextcloud. There's just a plugin called external storage, and you can just say these folders are also going to be included. They're not going to be the encrypted home drives, or in my case, I have yet to turn on the encryption, and I'm not sure I really want to, just for fear that I'm going to eventually screw something up, and that's going to cause more frustration than this extra security would be worth. Like I am. Oh man, I did not think that through at all. Thunderstruck. Now remember, everything's being treated as an amalgam, so these are getting treated as Murlocs too. Yeah. Yeah, I'm running such bad security because I don't really care if somebody has local access to the files. Then I'm probably doomed at that point. I think security is out the window, so I would much prefer to just have it be a situation where I could focus on making things work well and making things extremely recoverable. There we go. Didn't really need to do anything else there. But yeah, I love Nextcloud. Now, the DLNA Universal Plug-and-Play software, of which nobody's making anything that, as far as updates to any of those softwares. In my case, I'm using Rydo. For a brief second, I tried Mini DLNA. Turned out the video test files I had are DTS 6 channel, so they're DTS 5.1 audio video files in MKV video format. I think I did actually have to jump through some hoops to configure Rydo to actually handle MKVs in the video format, transcoding that on the fly. That's what the Rydo software is great about, is it can connect to something like a smart TV or a Chromecast or something, and in theory figure out what it needs and give it an MP3 audio stream if you have, for instance, a FLAC file on the server and it can't handle a FLAC file. And I may have had to jump through some hoops to even get it to work on FLACs. Let's see, Delirian Heist with Shaming the Warlock now is what we're going for. The main problem is just DTS in general, but I think in particular DTS that isn't 2.0 stereo. So what I had to do eventually, as I realized, is there's just no way getting around this because it requires a license to decode DTS audio files. None of the open source software will touch it, at least that's the way it seems. I'm gonna take these big demons here. I don't even know what cards I have.
He's keeping all the loot for himself. There is being no honor among thieves.
I'm kind of far here, so it would be nice if I could defeat the last remaining 3 bosses. So yeah, I'm gonna have to pull out Handbrake. I'm gonna convert the MKV video format to an MP4 video format, which is a little bit more standard, and I'm gonna convert the DTS AC3 audio file format down to a probably MP3 format, if I is probably what I said it to. But yeah, I certainly made myself waste a lot of extra time trying to get something to work that was probably never going to work, which often is the case. Now on the server, I still haven't gotten the pterodactyl video game server, web server to run. I'm not sure I'm gonna spend the extra time to get that to work anytime soon. And maybe there's another web server I want to use and test, but that's pretty much it. So everything seems like it's working good. I got the forwarding of email error logs to the emails is working fine for me, although in fairness I would say I did want to see if I could convince it to encrypt the emails it sends first before sending it to Google, which would be nice, but again, a kind of unnecessary experiment in a world where I spent way too much time experimenting already. So yeah, I don't think I want to spend that extra time. I am getting into playing Torchlight, which is good, so I just want to finish that and potentially start burning through Torchlight 2 and getting that stuff uploaded and going.
Thank you.
Overall, having lost everything that was on my old backup server, Rydo, I've mostly managed to recover everything that wasn't a personal file that was not backed up. But the stuff that was lost was a big loss, and now everything else is getting down to a level of simply, do I need file sorting? Like Rydo, for instance, the DLNA Universal Plug and Play server hates to read text files, including .m3u files, which are playlist files. So it would make a lot of sense to have a music folder and then have a playlist for all the songs in that music folder, particularly if those songs are not labeled in the name starting with their track number, which can happen certainly. But Rydo slows down considerably every time it runs into a text file, so I'm gonna have to go through the entire music folder and say, let's just get rid of all these text files because they're slowing down the process at every time it launches. And so yeah, that's really where I'm just getting to, is just trying to sort files, trying to keep things somewhat nice and tidy. I'm definitely not working very clean on the server, because I'm just SSHing, which is remotely connecting to the because I'm remotely connecting to the server to work on it instead of being in the hot room with a ceiling fan that doesn't really work too well. So that'll put you, when you remotely connect, in like the home directory or just wherever you were last. And because it's just wherever you are last, I'll start downloading, installing things into that folder, even though that's clearly not the right folder for it to be in. which certainly I understand is not a clean, efficient way to maintain a server. But frankly, there's just so much tweaks and little things I have to do to the server every time I set it up that even if it was a process that I got down to being perfectly clean, as soon as something changes, it would be right back to the mess. And it doesn't matter that much, and the files aren't that big. Alright. By the way, when I click the done button here, that will count as defeating a boss. Intriguing. So I will only have to defeat one more boss at that point. Let's see if you have 6 other minions. Replace your deck with 2 copies of each. Intriguing. Discover 5 cards. I don't know why I would want to do that. Move all of these from the field. Choose a friendly minion, add 3 copies. Is there a friendly minion I'd like to add 3 copies to? Sure.
I appreciate the extra business.
And do that.
Heard this story before. It's a good one.
And we could then do this.
Rough day.
To re-roll everybody and just see if we want to remove all minions from your deck. I don't see any reason why I would want to do that though.
I'll put it on your tab.
So just making those decisions counts towards your goal. And now we have 2 more bosses to beat this Delirian heist, which would be nice. They announced some nerfs coming very quickly in the next couple days. So
prepare your regrets.
As nerfs go, you want to have the cards, and if you have them in gold format, more is the better, because you'll then be able to disenchant them for the same amount of dust, and then later on you could craft them for craft them back, or you could just not ever craft them. Whatever. I forget what even the strategy is on nerfs, but it's been weird that they're nerfing yet again. I feel like Benbrode and the first team of Hearthstone developers tried really hard not to have nerfs happen, and now it seems like they don't care. They're just totally willing to nerf things. I don't like that. I don't like nerfs. It's just that simple. Well, is there anything else to talk about before we start covering the news? Which we don't have a ton of news, frankly, but there's a little bit, I suppose. Well, I could have killed that. But I guess I can wait.
Funnel cakes! Get your funnel cakes here!
I think maybe more Borderlands drama happened. I don't even really know, so I don't really want to cover that too much. Let's see, I'm trying to think if there's anything else to say. There really isn't a lot to say about the Torchlight game as a series. It is such a procedurally done don't even know the right way to say it. It's such a clicker game. It's such just a simplistic dungeon crawler, and it's so repetitive and unimportant in the action that's happening that hour to hour there's not a lot that you can say. I do have a pretty decent
The end is coming! The end is coming!
But what am I trying to say? Yeah. I have a pretty decent oh, yeah. I have a pretty decent gun, and that's kind of all there is to say. Is I have this shotgun that is slightly slow in its attack speed on Torchlight 1, but is doing 243 damage. It's like a legendary that I gambled and then enchanted. And the only thing is I put a gem in it that was definitely not powerful enough to do what I had hoped it would do, which was steal health with every hit. So playing on easy, I am at this point where everything works out really well. I'm one hit killing nearly everybody, and I fought the second boss in the game, and just kind of constantly every 30 minutes or less I'm running into a scenario where I don't have enough I just don't have enough space to hold inventory items. And you don't seem like in Torchlight that you ever get any increased inventory. There's no like backpack or anything. I don't think there's even a cube or anything that you can put items inside of items like in Diablo 1. In a lot of ways, playing Torchlight makes you kind of nostalgic for playing Diablo 1, but if you actually went back and tried to play Diablo 1, I think you'd find it has some problems. And oddly, I still kind of also feel like the problems are not fully addressed or well addressed in
I'm invincible.
let's see. Like, I don't think that they are addressed in Diablo 3 either. And then kind of after Diablo 3 and the time after Diablo 2, and before Diablo 3, so that large, I would say at least 2 decades worth of time, there really hasn't been a lot of Diablo-esque games. It's a little surprising there isn't a Cthulhu-esque, a Cthulhu styled Diablo game out there, and it's a little surprising that there aren't just more Diablo type games in general. I think the problem that happens though is they do start to people start to realize that they're really not the greatest of experiences. Alright, how are we gonna do this? Kill that. And kill that. And kill that. And then do that. And then do we want to put this on the field? I think we do. Yeah. So it's really hard to mention anything. Really early in the game, I'm trying to get increased gold. Really early in the game, I'm trying to get increased experience. I haven't seen anything that increases your fame, but there's increased magical item drops. So better items are dropping when I am picking them up, which inherently would also give me increased gold because they'd sell for more. My next big step on Torchlight is to teach the dog how to cast Spell All 2, and by doing that, not Spell All 2, Heal All 2 spell, and by having him do that, then we can, he will hopefully take care of the one problem I've run into, which is,
this time one too many.
while I do have a heal spell, it gets replaced with the Identify spell every time I try and use that. So there's no division there between being able to use the Identify spell to identify unidentified loot items in the menu when you're not fighting, and the attack spells and the aggressive spells. And see, if you made a Diablo-esque game for cell phones, it would probably work a little bit better for the grinding, but I don't think it would work very well on the screen interface. You would probably want to attempt some other kind of dungeon crawling to happen instead of that.
Get it out!
And oddly, because Torchlight is a 10-year-old game, its graphics do look like a cell phone game by today's standards. But yeah, I keep saying I have nothing to say about it and then finding something else to say about it. I'm really just figuratively, not literally, crossing my fingers, hoping that because I'm playing with this with a keyboard and mouse, and by the way, Torchlight's use of the keyboard is terrible. It totally is not in a logical good placement for the way you would have to play it, which is to have just your left hand on the keyboards and your right hand on the mouse. But yeah. Yeah, I'm figuratively crossing my fingers that all the mouse clicking I'll end up doing for Torchlight 1 and 2 won't end up aggravating my arthritis, which hasn't been in a bad position lately, which is nice. But that could pretty much change at any time. Well, since this is a Friday stream, and since we do want to kind of end early because I am going to just start falling asleep, it's almost certainly going to be one of those cases where all of a sudden I'm just going to start getting quiet and I'm going to start nodding and start falling asleep. So knowing all of that, I think it would be wise to start covering the news. Alright. This guy will be stopped.
The end is coming!
Unless I do this. So I want to attack here, 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 and here. Do this.
for you. They're not there. How you know they're there? Shadows no match for big booms.
Okay. Now this guy can't really kill them. And I can't really do anything, so I'll end the turn here. So the first game we have on Steam is called Miracle Mia, which might be a kind of oddly simplistically drawn Chinese platformer from the looks of the game. I'm not sure I fully want to reject this. And definitely I don't think I can cruelly reject all Chinese games just because the Chinese Steam store that launches in China will be different than have different games on it than the Steam store for everybody else. I think that's kind of unfair. Yeah, it looks like a platformer with two girls with tennis rackets, and the art style seems consistent, and it doesn't look terrible. It's $14.99. It's English only. I guess this deserves a follow. I'm nowhere close to really believing that this is a good game, but I'm not seeing any telltale markers of it being a terrible game.
So many dark powers, so little
So
time.
do this. It doesn't change our options. We do this, and then we do this.
Soldiers of the cold dark, obey the call of Kel'Thuzad.
Next we have a game on Steam called Last Wood, which is a Raft / Roblox clone from the looks of it. People have already rated it mixed, so yeah, it's a half Minecraft, half Raft, half Roblox clone game. Early access, $13.49, a bunch of languages supported. I saw a meme, speaking of Minecraft, of calculating how tall or how thick Steve from Minecraft's arms would be. And it depicts him as this giant, overpowered muscle man punching trees to get wood out of them. Which was certainly a joke I once made, was maybe the reason all the zombies and creepers are chasing after you is because they saw you punching a tree to death in your first 5 minutes of the game. 3 damage to all other characters. I could kill one of the people that way.
The queen said we was raiding.
We could do this and do this. We could do this. But then we couldn't do that. I think you do that. And then you want that. And then you want end the turn. Next we have a game on Steam here called Extreme Tactical Executioners, which is XTX, if you misspell it apparently. This looks too close to a low effort asset flip first person shooter for its own good. Yeah, that's pretty much what I have to call it. It's a lack of visual polish on the textures. This is early access for $19.99. It can be played with VR, but it's not required. Odd that there's a notice there in that case, because usually it's the exact opposite situation. Alright.
Unfortunate souls.
And then pull this. And then return. Yeah, Extreme Technical Executioners for $19.99. English full audio. Not quality enough to make it to the followers. Now I do need to get all the daily quests done, but I would be also willing to do that later. Right. This. Then destroy all minions.
You're real sneaky, and you still blow us up.
Behold, my hand is full.
Let's see. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Hatch and Vodafone have partnered to bring 5G mobile gaming streaming to Germany. Which, okay, that will affect Germany and maybe affect other parts of the world at some point.
Why do you call?
Let's destroy a friendly minion.
None shall pass.
That worked out fairly well.
As long as it keeps out arrows. Enter the shadows.
We're just trying to win here. 1/1 imps. Destroy one and do damage to all the others.
So many dark powers. So little
I'm
time.
invincible.
Just keep playing here. I'm actually trying to win. Next we have a game on Steam called Hypno Cult, which is a low effort name, and we can see here it looks like a pretty low effort game. Even if there is a concept around this, this low polygon 3D game, there actually looks like there might be something there. It's just so unvisually polished, or visually unpolished, that I couldn't possibly ever want to play it. $3.59 discounted. English and German, full audio it says. Yeah, that's just not making it. Discover quest reward, which is 15 raptors into your deck, or reduce the cost of the minions in your deck to 0. Deal 8 damage to a random enemy. Yeah, I think that works pretty well. And then we'll hit this and that. And then the turn. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Using user interface as a means to tell a story, convey emotion, and create personality. This is more of a advertisement article, almost certainly, for whatever game this is based on, or whatever collection of games these are based on. There's a certain amount of truth to it, that having a user interface that feels familiar to previous user interfaces people might have dealt with in their past.
So
That
many dark
Like, I could certainly see that, but it's also, that's very just background story building stuff, not something that feels like it's going to be a foreground story type experience. Her story built a little bit of background story by having you play on this computer interface, but destroy all minions and do it again at the start of your next turn. Whenever you play a card, overload one of your opponent's mana. After you play the card this turn, replay it. Target's chosen randomly. I'll take this. That's an amazingly nice card. Let's see, do we want portals? Restore 4 health to your hint. And hero. 4 health might be the best move. Yeah, I'm gonna take this.
Bank robbing just getting personal.
Take candle.
So we're gonna hope to win here, and that would be nice. Next we have a game on Steam called Death Crown, which looks a lot like some of these other black and white games, although this animation style seems to have slightly more detail on it than most of the black and white games we've seen. But the animation seems to fall down to what seems to be a real-time hex grid based game. So I don't know if this is just a really fast-paced clicker tower defense style game or what. It's $7.99 discounted. Bunch of languages. Says it has single player. I'm gonna put this on the following list because there is a chance that there's an actual game here. There is also a chance that this is just a really well advertised not worth playing game, which one has to assume happens on rather frequent amounts of time. So we'll have to be careful. I also have to be careful to not waste too much time because I don't get the rope because I'm playing single player here. Should have played that actually.
It's good being queen. Oh, so weakling, like you.
I don't think I've ever fought this queen wag toggle. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3. So let's go ahead and do this and see what happens.
Go back to Togwaggle. He be needing you.
Attack here. Attack here. Play this. Play this. Then my turn. Next game we have on Steam is called Building Killer, which I think is just a physics toy. Basically, it's an Angry Birds clone. If you weren't gonna put any polish on Angry Birds, and instead we're just gonna make a vertical slice demo. $4.99, bunch of languages supported, 5 achievements. Yeah, nothing here intriguing at all. Alright.
The end is coming!
Let's go ahead and hit this and see how this works. It didn't work as well as I'd like it to. Do I want to play this for 1 mana or just wait? I'll just wait. So yeah, Building Killer for $4.99 is definitely not making it to the fall list. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Attend XRDC for an inside look at the design of Assassin's Creed VR escape rooms. I don't know why Assassin's Creed would have VR escape rooms. That being said, there is kind of a tradition at this point of putting unnecessary styles of gameplay and content in the Assassin's Creed brand. Yeah, I really just don't know personally how much an escape room style game could be in VR or regular. Most escape room style games we've seen have been particularly low effort, with a few rare exceptions. Right. 5 damage to all characters are too early for that. 3 damage would be a little bit overkill. So let's just do this. And then do this. And then play these and do this. And then your turn.
Why do you call?
Gamma Sutra has another article. The Oculus former head of mobile VR has left Facebook. So this is number 6, I believe, as far as people who worked at Oculus leaving now. What this might boil down to, though, in all fairness, is that this might just be a case of everybody's stock options got vested at Facebook, and they had no desire or intention of staying with Facebook in the first place. Or it could be a fact that just nobody wants to work for Facebook, and there's definitely a lot of reasons for that, and Facebook has not been doing a great job curating or making it feel like there is a chance that... Let's see if I do this. I can't do that. So let's do that. Yeah, Oculus hasn't really succeeded under Facebook, and Facebook hasn't really succeeded in doing anything that anybody would like. If I ran Facebook, I would say I'd probably make a whole secondary Facebook style service that promises to not have the problems of Facebook, like perhaps just friends, or just dating. Try to have several things that you log in via a Facebook account, but don't require the actual Facebook experience that they're offering. Just gonna kill this. See, Gamatsu has an article for the PS4. The Persona 5 Royal Confident Takuto Moruki trailer is now available. That's apparently this character. So, more Persona 5 hype is coming out as Persona 5 is working its way towards the end. Let's see. 3 damage to all other characters. This. This.
That's nothing. You take back.
Take that, I guess.
Job's done.
Let's see. Next, we have a Gamatsu article for the PC. Death March Club Aniki voice actor reveal video. A boy with a bad attitude and a dark past. Death March, I've forgotten what it is. Or I've never heard of it before. Let's see. I've gotten really bad about playing trailers, particularly Japanese trailers though, so I'm gonna watch this off screen. I've had like 2 content IDs when I really haven't had any in a very relatively long amount of time otherwise. Now, of course, it's not legitimate to make a content ID claim on a trailer, which can't be copyrighted because it's an advertisement, but whatever, they do it anyways. Looking at this trailer though, all it is showing is, all it does is show this character in some lines of Japanese dialogue. So yeah, I don't even think I've heard of Death March Club. I've probably heard of something else with Death Marching. Let's see.
So many ships.
We're good enough to keep on drawing cards, so I'll do that. Next, we have a game on Steam called Elea, E-L-E-A, which is tagged as a first-person space game. Let's see. A little flickery on the video. Looks like it's a 3D game. This doesn't really look like you're flying around space, just dealing with a spaceship. They're calling it a sci-fi adventure game, and I would buy that a little bit more.
Intriguing.
Yeah. I think I may have seen a trailer for this before, so I'll put it on the follow list. $7.49 right now, discount, so the price is pretty cheap. English full audio, a bunch of other languages. Apparently they put out an update, so before this point it was maybe early access. This is from a publisher who's selling Elea Episode 1, which is mixed, so perhaps I should go back and remove it. Looking at this publisher, there's a decent amount of mixed and negative reviews. That being said, there are some games I own, but I think I own both of these games because they were given away for free. I'll put this on the follow list and be really generous, but I think it just logged me out. Let's play. Let's see. How are we gonna do this here? And here.
To bring stop ends here.
And then return.
One for all and all for me.
What you got there?
Trying not to lose here. Deal 5 damage to everybody. Would that work? Destroy all minions, draw cards based on all of those.
What a form
This. Let's see. Next we have an article from Gamatsu for the PS4, PC, and Switch. The Alliance Alive HD Remaster, battle gameplay, and vehicle screenshots. Again, I can see by this trailer, this is Alliance Alive is the weird mobile game looking experience.
Dog waggle.
Heroes
Always
and
one
moon.
toe behind. My will survive.
This. And do
It's
this.
from Royal Vault.
Here we go. I guess we'll play that next turn. See, coming out to us an article for the PS4, Gungrave Gore details Scumland, which is apparently an area, or if not the main area, that you are going to be working out of. I know I'm starting to get quiet and tired already, so yeah, let's get through all the news if we can, and I probably will just have to end up playing off screen. Oh man, I did this wrong.
What can I blast for you?
Next we have a game on Steam that's a bunch of Asian characters called Banner of the Three Kingdoms in parentheses. So it looks like it is a RPG Maker style game without actually using RPG Maker. Cheap Chinese game would be my guess. And these videos aren't loading, and I've never really figured out what was causing that. Let's see.
You face Jaraxxus, Eladar Lord of the Burning Legion.
Oh, I just screwed up terribly. That was not what I meant to play. That is totally not what I meant to play. I've just lost the game. I seriously just lost because I played the wrong thing. If I could just undo that one thing.
Get you!
Yeah, if he can figure out anything to save him, he will be saved. Alright, let's do this and this. I'm gonna have to work so freaking hard for this to save me.
Of the frozen wastes. I'm out of cards.
Right. Give your demons +1, deal 1 damage to everybody else. Destroy a friendly minion and deal that much damage to this guy. I could do that, but that would be dumb. I could get this guy down for free to 4, and then that would be okay to kill that. And let's go ahead and play that. At the worst possible moment, I play that. Oh man, I won. I really lucked out there. I really lucked out. That was just a straight up dumb mistake, but due to being exhausted and not paying attention.
And comes together. Check in with the others to see what's happening elsewhere in the city.
Alright. So now on the European account. Oh, I forgot that there was card packs that came with this. So I guess theoretically I could go through these others and get some card packs if I wanted to, but I don't really have time for that. Alright, and now we're back to we need Shaman and Warlock victories that weren't being counted. Do we want to even bother to play ranks? No, I don't think we do. Anyways, back to this game. Banner of the Three Kingdoms. Yeah, it doesn't look amazingly well. The camera's zoomed out too much. The graphics are too simplistic. It looks like it's a cheap Chinese game designed to run on a Famiclone. English is not supported. $6.29 discounted. Chinese only.
The light shall
No
bring
surprise
victory.
there.
For Doomhammer.
So move on to the next thing. Here we're just trying to win in general. Gamma Sutra has an article, get a job, join Guerrilla Games as a senior producer in Amsterdam, Netherlands. I think I mentioned this job listing a couple times already.
Is someone injured?
Next we have a game on Steam called Plunge, which seems to be a fast-paced isometric, kind of like a dungeon crawler, but moved around the concept of getting to a specific place where you can fall down further. So it's a little bit like Downfall, but then also with some other ideas and concepts.
Greetings.
And I kind of like those other ideas and concepts.
Give that minion a turn to get ready.
Yeah, Plunge, by the looks of it, you get some abilities, so it's like a bit of a roguelike, but a very simplistic roguelike. It's almost like they're taking the concept of a mobile games or mobile screen and saying, how can we make a roguelike without making a giant screen? And they found a way to sort of do that. This is $7.19 discounted, English only. I'm going to put this on the fall list. There's a level of polish, even though it is doing a weird art style. There's looks like there might be something here. Now, that being said, a lot of people also were super hyped and interested in Downwell, and by the time I got around to playing Downwell, I really didn't find anything super impressive or interesting on that. And Downwell is a game where you jump downward and play a roguelike also.
Is
So
someone injured?
Plunge is really just putting a different spin on the concept that already existed and succeeded and was somewhat well known. Let's see. This part.
Make a storm.
This part. This part.
Well played.
Here. In return. Next we have a game on Steam called Bookseeker, which I think again is a Chinese RPG. Not very good quality. Looks extremely red in every screenshot, or half the screenshots at least. English is not supported, 79 cents discounted, Chinese only. Least price is right there. That being said, I would have to really think about it to establish what is actually worth 79 cents on Steam these days, considering there's been slight increases in quality over the past couple years. Let's see. Next we have a Gamatsu article. the Dragon
In the
Quest
lights,
Builders series director Kazuya Ninoyu as would that be Ni Inu? Inao? Maybe? I don't even know how you pronounce that. Anyways, he's left Square Enix. This is part of a longer story, in my mind at least, of people leaving Square Enix because, frankly, Square Enix is not treating its employees well or in a good position to set people up for success or succeed themselves. Now, I imagine if the last thing you made was Dragon Quest Builders, you're probably not the cream of the crop as far as game developers. I don't have a major complaint about Dragon Quest Builders, which is a Dragon Quest Builders or Builders 2, which is just a Minecraft clone using the highly popular Dragon Quest characters or name. Let's see. Ninao was previously known for his work of Trauma Center Under the Knife and designer of Etrian Odyssey Atlas. I like Trauma Center, but clearly I didn't know who made it. He also worked as an assistant director on Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn before he became the director of the Dragon Quest themed sandbox RPG, Dragon Quest Builders. So it doesn't even feel like he was working at Square Enix for more than maybe 10 years at most. So, moving on to greener pastures, very possibly gotten hired or working with somebody else who has left Square Enix. Square Enix definitely in line to be one of the major AAA developers and publishers to go bankrupt. Being a Japanese company, though, there could be a lot of other income sources that Square Enix is getting that's keeping it propped up or would keep it propped up. We're gonna win here? Oh, maybe, but very possibly not. Alright, we need this dead. So we'll play this. And the turn. TechRaptor has an article, Mabel in the Wood Review, The Shape of Bugs. I don't recognize this game. It looks like it's a platformer, basically. Looks like it's a little bit too pixel graphically for my taste. It might actually be on my follow list, but I wouldn't be surprised if I would overlook it or remove it. And the thing about looking at a review right now is that more and more, even TechRaptor is not really influencing whether a game stays on the follow list or not. I'm bringing it down to just a situation where
Greetings.
Yeah, I'm bringing it down to a situation where the only thing that's convincing me to take something off the follow list is when other people review it. Say it's bad.
Job's done. 5 hours, little time.
Okay. If I could get 7 guys on the field and then play 2 of these, I think I could probably win. Maybe. TechRaptor's review gives it the game 6.0 good. Mabel in the Wood has a great idea at its core, and in some cases it provides a compelling enough Metroidvania experience. Unfortunately, weak implementation of choice-based progression, along with some irksome bugs, hamper what could otherwise have been a great game's pros. Core mechanics stands out, power progression is satisfying. Cons, bugs get in the way, passive and path is too obtuse, and the presentation hurts the game. And yeah, I would agree that the presentation of this does look like it would hurt my enjoyment of the game. I'm trying to see if I can find the Steam link that they pointed out so that I could go to their Steam page immediately. Here we go. This. And we can do this. I should have done this instead.
There's little time.
That's not enough though, I've lost. So here's Mabel in the Wood on Steam. There's no user reviews yet. And I don't really feel like putting it on a follow list. After the one review I did see of it, put it as negative. Honestly, even if they got the bugs fixed in this game, the visual aesthetic does kind of kill it compared to many other Metroidvanias that are out there. So yeah, I don't think Mabel in the Wood's I'm gonna bother to put that on the follow list. Let's see. Next we have on Steam a game called The Tower 2, which, what is this? Is this an asset flip game, or is this an actual game? Is it an infinite runner with a gun? It's VR, it's $14.99, English with full audio. Seems like it probably is an infinite runner in VR with guns. Yeah. This just doesn't look polished enough for something I'd want to do in VR. $14.99. No discounts. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Mysteria Occult Shadows. This is an early access adventure anime indie game that already is mixed. I can see there's definitely an anime intro that they're showing, but I don't know what this game really boils down to. Is this a RPG experience? I think it probably is. Or is it just a straight player versus player experience? It might be that. I'm trying to see any actual gameplay. Yeah, this seems like maybe the second or even third game in the last 6 months that is just a player versus player MMO experience if you took out all the other MMO elements. Let's see, early access $10.39, full audio Japanese, and then English and Chinese support. 39 achievements, each with an anime girl face. Let's see what the most useful negative review would be. Yeah, what is making this mixed?
I wonder.
Well, either the negative reviews are not popping up, or all the negative reviews are in a different language. Yeah, this is not informative at all. I have just a ton of Japanese looking game negative reviews. Apparently this was a Steam Greenlight game from an extremely long amount of time. That alone justifies not putting this on the follow list. If anything was on the Steam Greenlight system and it's still early access in 2019, yeah, that's a game that's never going to be finished. And I suspect maybe that's what everybody is complaining about, is that the game is not really finished. Either that or the game is heavily stealing art assets or concepts from another game, and Japanese players don't like that in particular. It does look somewhat like Blood Rain, the game that's about to come out, but that's kind of it. It's not a lot like that to the point that where there'd be a lawsuit. Yeah, I can't put a game, as much as they put anime girls in it, like I cannot be distracted by the anime girls and decide to put a game that is so mixed reviewed immediately on the follow list. Unless I'm going to make the massive assumption that the mixed reviews are all negative Chinese reviews and this is some kind of action by the Chinese government specifically against this game, which we have seen the Chinese government do a lot of that since the Hong Kong protests started happening. But you really can't. I can't really just by default claim that's the reason always. That would be ridiculous. Major Nelson tweeted out that this game, Path of Sin Greed, Xbox One version, is out. Wanted to see what kind of game this was. I have no idea what this game is, and I don't think there is a link that would take me to this game and the website, but the website's not really telling me too much other than it's a single player game with 4K Ultra HD support.
Why do you call?
So maybe I'll do some more research later and figure out if that game is of any real interest or not. It very possibly isn't. This.
Apple on your head.
This. Then I guess end a turn. Next we have a game on Steam called Knights of the Chalice, which looks like another RPG, low effort, low polygon RPG game. Again, not a game that feels like it actually was made in RPG Maker though. $19.99, third party EULA, English only. Not really seeing anything there, so yeah, that's going nowhere. This much. I suppose I could have done that, couldn't I? If I put this over here and then this here, it would have given. No, actually, it wouldn't have given enough minions.
Time's up. Let's do this.
This. And in return. Gamma Sutra has an article. The PlayStation Productions has joined the Uncharted movie as another director exits. So the Uncharted movie has been in development for an extremely long amount of time. PlayStation Productions, I think, is in part or in whole owned by Sony, so it would make a lot of sense that since Sony just apparently negotiated themselves out of having Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe anymore, they might have freed up some more attention to see if they could get Uncharted to actually succeed and make it to theaters. Next we have a game on Steam called Minesweeper World. This looks like this is just a low effort Minesweeper game. Nothing interesting there. Early access, $1.39 English only. And
So many possibilities.
okay. 1, 2. That. Do that.
That minion. Who shall be next to
That.
take my blade?
And that should work. Bring about more of these. In the turn. See, next we have a game on Steam called Reactron, I suppose. So it looks like it's just a simple black and white. What is that game where you eat the edges out of something, or a Tron Light Cycle clone? This might also be a Tron Light Cycle clone game. Yeah, visually so unappealing that even when it's selling itself on, doesn't even register to me. It's early access, $6.39 discounted. English, German, and Spanish, both Spain and Latin America. Destroy friendly minion, give your minion +1/+1. Start by attacking with this one then, and destroying that one. And then attack,
Can't win them all.
attack. Hey, Lemon Lever is on the chat saying hola or hola, Rydo. Hi, Lemon Lover. It's been a while. Unfortunately, I am falling asleep at the moment, so I am probably going to very quickly wrap this up as much as I can. And next we have a game on Steam called Luna Sanctus. It looks like another RPG game, although in this case, at the very least, the graphics look good enough to be at least an actual NES game, or maybe even the beginnings of a Super NES game. That being said, I don't think there's room in my heart at all for a 2D 8-bit RPG game of any kind, particularly if it's a fantasy setting, because that's been done to death. Luna Sanctus is $9.99 English only, 28 achievements. Yeah, I just couldn't play something like that. I don't know how I would even convince myself that I could play something, an RPG in general. Like, it's got to be a 3D RPG. It's got to be something that has a pretty big twist to it. I'm not just gonna immediately jump on board with most RPGs in general. Again, maybe if I was playing an RPG on my phone and a lot of it was automated, maybe then I could find a way. Right. So let's copy these.
Stop copying me! No, no, no!
Attack here and then return. Let's see, Gematsu has an article for the PS4 and Switch. Gunvolt Chronicles Luminous Avenger 9 is going to have a limited physical run edition. Don't have a clue what Gunvolt Chronicles Luminous Avenger 9 is, though. I don't recall that one being announced. It's... yeah, no tags are even telling me what kind of game it is. Let's see. Do this. And then we will do this.
No, no, no! ID!
And then we'll end the turn. Next, we have a game on Steam called Royal Area instead of Arena. There's a little bit more visual polish here, but these still are pretty much asset flips. There's, yeah, this looks like a Fortnite, PUBG, Counter-Strike Go clone. I don't see any reason why I would play this kind of game. 59 cents discounted, single player, English only, and multiplayer also available. That's the more important thing to mention.
I wonder.
Let's do this. Do this.
Sure, send the link guy. No, no, no!
All of this.
Why me?
Let's see. Gamasutra has an article. Valve tweaks the bug bounty program after, quote, mistakenly turning away researchers. Valve has expanded the scope of its HackerOne bug bounty program after a researcher was turned away from submitting a valid vulnerability found in the Valve's game distribution platform, Steam. The changes to the program are part of a very large story covered by Ars Technica, in which 2 researchers had their bug bounty submissions rejected by HackerOne campaign, and in one case being told they were no longer able to submit future bugs following the rejection. Following one of these rejections, Valve issued a statement to Ars Technica acknowledging the researcher was incorrectly turned away, and the idea that his reports was classified as a out of scope was a mistake. So basically, this seems like this is an example of Valve not having somebody in charge of yet another one of their programs and just letting employees do whatever they want, which seems fairly commonplace. Alright, how are we going to do this? Hold that. Do I need to protect myself? Not really. Should have played that first next turn though. Yep. It's not unheard of for a white hat hacker or security researcher to find bugs, try to submit them to a website, and then to a company, and then the company either delay or ignore them. Often, even if the company in general terms says they encourage people to submit bugs and even offer rewards for people who find bugs, a bug bounty is definitely an example of that. So you'll often see white hat hackers then either sell these vulnerabilities to other people and become more black hat hackers at that point, to try and make up for the amount of time and effort and education they had to have to find the bug in the first place. Or they'll do the right thing and I believe the industry standard is to wait 90 days and then responsibly disclose the bug to the public, and then somebody like Ars Technica will report on it. I'm not going to bother to even try to get this final victory because that certainly could be a hassle. Let's move over to the Asian account. We're just going to go in a circle and see what those daily quests are and try and work on that. In the middle of Kerbal Space 2 being announced, we have another space game called Capcom Go Apollo VR Planetarium. Although why it's called Capcom Go, I don't know, because it has nothing to do with the publisher Capcom. So, and I don't know what else would use that phrase, Capcom. This is a VR game. It's free to play. It then has DLC for $4.99. It's English only. Has a bunch of achievements that look like badges. I don't think there's anything terrible about this, but I do think there's probably better versions of space lunar lander simulation VR games on Steam. So we want to roll this 50. So Hunter, Mage, Rogue, and Warrior victories. So let's play Hunter just for some variety. I can see the end of the tunnel, and that's what I'm trying to rush to. On Valve we have a game, on Steam we have a game called Vanishing Realm, which I feel like I may have seen this game before. It's very, very positive with a lot of numbers. It's a VR game, and it does not look terrible for a VR game, so I'll put it on the follow list. It's $19.99, third-party EULA, and it requires VR, English and Chinese. This being a Chinese game doesn't scare me too much though, because there's a considerable amount of positive reviews to counterbalance any fear of something like that. Right, next, with that free victory, we need Rogue and Warrior victories, and almost certainly Rogue would be the only thing I could get a victory with. I don't think I could win with a Warrior. Next, we have a game on Steam called Toho Shoujo Tale of Beautiful Memories. This seems like yet another one of those Toho Project games. Looks like it's an 8-bit platformer NES style game.
For Doomhammer.
Watch your
placement strategy RPG. I'm still not sure how the Toho series breaks down, but I'll put this on the follow list. It's $17.99. I suspect, since it's being published by DL Site, that this is actually a really old game. It's in Japanese, English, and Chinese in the language. See, DL Site has published a decent amount of positively reviewed games and 2 mixed reviewed games. Yeah, so they have a little bit of credibility behind them. So yeah, I'll put that on the follow list. TechRaptor has an article. Riot Games has reached a preliminary agreement in a class action gender discrimination lawsuit. Let's see what the preliminary agreement actually says, though.
choose soon.
them settling and
The light protects me.
and getting away from trying to force them into the already agreed upon forced arbitration as a employee slash former employee is going to probably help their bottom line than dragging this out. That being said, the riot accusations came and went and only lasted about 3 weeks, and then there was something else from somebody else to start ranting about at that point. So the attorney for the plaintiffs, which I imagine is Riot Games, came out and said, "This is a very strong settlement agreement that provides meaningful and fair value to class members for their experiences at Riot Games. This is a clear indication that Riot is dedicated to making progress and evolving its culture and employment practices. A number of significant changes to the corporate culture have been made, including increased transparency and industry-leading diversity and inclusion programs." Let's see.
Here we go. I fight.
The many Riot employees who spoke up, including the plaintiffs, significantly helped change the culture at Riot. And then the CEO came out and said, "We're grateful for every Rioter who has come forward with their concerns and believe this resolution is fair for everyone involved. This is merely a preliminary agreement at the moment, and details are still evolving." Oh, I guess the plaintiffs are not Riot Games, so that lawyer was saying all that was representing the employees.
Who comes there?
Here we go.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's a settlement
I fight.
with very little like money wrapped around it or anything like that, because the class action lawsuits that were going on, really we never got any details, or I never heard any details specifically about those employees and how they were treated that would justify a class action suit in any way, or even begin to make me think that a class action suit would win. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Blood Magic, which looks like a, well, sometimes it looks like an MS Paint game, and then sometimes it looks kind of nice, but the UI is rough and looks MS Paint like. So I almost think that this is an asset flip game, that two different styles or classes of assets being merged together.
There is little time.
Yeah. Seems like the whole game you're dealing with things made out of blood, which might be a little bit too macabre for YouTube. It's free and it's English only. So if you're interested in checking it out, Blood Magic is there. But I probably won't. Let's see.
I wonder. The light
This-
protects me.
And then this
I fight.
and that.
Here
Here.
we go.
Do that. In the turn. Next, we have a game on Steam called Rogueverse, which looks like it might just be a dungeon crawler, but then it also feels like there's a spin mechanic where your characters are all in a space and then you spin them around or arrange them so that they attack the enemies that are left and right of you. It's called Rogueverse. Feels like something that you would do, or gameplay mechanic you would invent for a board game, and it's now getting ported to a digital game. Unfortunately, that's just not enough to sell this game on to me. It's early access, it's $8.99, it's English only, and the polish visually is just not high enough. Let's see. Now,
How much is this worth to you?
play this.
Too soon. I'll take that. I fight.
There we go. Forgot to attack with my hero. TechRaptor has an article. Minecraft update introduces bees, not the bees. So yeah, the newest update of Minecraft introduces bees. Doesn't seem like they do too much or interact with the player too much. They're just a new mob creature in their continuing struggle to find new mob creatures that seem at least somewhat realistically plausible to be in a Minecraft game. Gamatsu has an article for the Switch. Ninja Box details block making blueprints and runaway ninjas. This looks like it is a
Watch your
Dragon Quest Builders style game. I haven't heard anything about Ninja Blocks. I, from the looks of it, don't think it's going to come to the West anyways, so I'm going to leave it at that as I'm trying to rush towards the end. Let's see. TechRaptor has an article. Tyrants of the Moonsea finished and released for Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition. So this is some extra bit of DLC for Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition, which I believe Neverwinter Nights has a ridiculous amount of expansions and DLCs for an expensive amount of money. The ESA put out another SJW article, I assume, called Leveling the Playing Field, Women in Esports. Seems like they are definitely trying something new here, where they had previously just mostly stayed silent and not put out comments. Unless I'm wrong about this and I just started following ESA on Twitter a couple weeks ago. That being said, I just don't. I think I prefer ESA to stay quiet or talk about issues that are way more important.
Here we go. I fight. The light protects me.
Gamatsu has an article here. Wizardry Labyrinth of Lost Souls for PC is delayed to early 2020. This looks like it is just a dungeon crawler game of dungeon crawler quality. So, no big deal, I think, to most people that was delayed. TechCraft has an article. Hand of the Gods, the Smite tactical card game, is shutting down. Did not know a Smite tactical card game even existed, but apparently it's shutting down now, so I guess who cares. Let's see.
Go, Sharks!
I fight.
There we go. All done. Let's see. Nutaku, which has a partnership advertising deal with TechRaptor, has an article here. Adult gaming website Nutaku shows off a more inclusive website redesign. This is part of their effort to have more gay and lesbian games, which they still, I don't think, have a lot compared to the straight games that they have available. And they're constantly making new games in general, so they're gonna have a lot of catching up to do. So this.
Here we go.
Job's done.
See. Next we have a game on Steam called Paradigm City. This is a text-based game. We're getting back to seeing text-based games out of the blue. Next we have a game called Zombian. It too is a text-based game.
What to do?
If you can't figure that out.
No, take candle.
TechRaptor has an article, Pokemon Global Link will not be used in Sword and Shield. I feel like this was already announced, but okay. Yeah, Pokemon Shield and Sword does not sound like it's going to be a good offering in the Pokemon series. We already talked about that. Here we have a game on Steam called Foul Magic. This is by Digipin, so I know this is a student project. So I'm willing to put student projects on the wish list immediately. It's free, just because I want to show off student projects. That being said, this does not look like it's anything particularly special or interesting. I'm just falling asleep like crazy though, so I'm gonna have to be kind of rather careful here, because I want to try and cover the news and wrap up here before I fall asleep. So let's just cover news now and not talk about the Steam games. I may curate the Steam games a little bit, and I may just talk about them on Monday. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Google Play Store design refresh aims to boost game discoverability. Okay. Speaking of game discoverability, somewhat, the Epic Store has come out, and there have been 2 instances that have been reported on. The Epic Store didn't say this directly, but there have been 2 instances where small indie developers have tried to be listed on the Epic Store without being an exclusive, and they were told, no, you have to be an exclusive. So that's an example of the Epic Store not like bringing in more competition or being kind or fair to the people who might actually want to buy a game on the Epic Store instead of Steam, if there are any people that actually exist like that. Moving on, Gematsu has an article, Piggy Ball for the PS4, Xbox One, and Switch launches October 18th. I remember this name, and the game does look crazy. I'm not sure if the game is actually worth playing though. I guess that's a hype article anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Speaking of indie games that were exclusive to Steam, I mean not Steam, but Epic Store, Hades is coming to Steam early access on December 10th and leaving its Epic early access. And Hades was one of the launch titles, so this may be the beginning of the rolling releases of old games from the Epic Store onto the Steam storefront, in which we very possibly might start seeing a considerable amount of sales for games as soon as they become available on Steam.
Here we go.
Gamma Sutra has an article, Razer and Tencent partner to further their cloud gaming ambitions. Okay. I don't know what Razer really adds to that connection, but whatever. TechRaptor has the same article, Hades Epic exclusivity ending with Steam Early Access later this year. Okay. Yay. Hades, I don't think, proved itself to be a very good representation of one of the first exclusive games to come out.
Double time and double pay.
Now we need to do 2,
You're looking at
which I
me.
guess we can do. Here and 2. TechRaptor has an advertisement for Nutaku's latest game called Booty Slayers, out now from Nutaku, being a pirate-themed sex game. If that interests anybody, go to Nutaku and check it out. I'm gonna leave this, but we're not in a terrible position. Let's go over to the Americas account now and just see what we've got. Gamma Sutra has another obituary. The Sony Interactive Entertainment Global Account Manager Mark Vitello died. Let's see. Is there anything here? He worked on Guitar Hero, Unreal Tournament, Bioshock, and many, many others, according to Gamma Sutra. Alright. Let's see, Warlock cards or 1 victory? Which would be easier? Probably 1 victory. Druid and Rogue, 3 victories now. It's gonna take forever. I'm gonna just jump into a mage game, but I may very well jump out of this too because I am crashing hard. I need to go to sleep. We have just a couple of article pages left, and then I'll leave the rest of the games to talk about on Monday. TechRaptor has an article, Pathfinder 2nd Edition, let's create a character. I don't even know if this has to do with a board game or a digital game. Seems like it's a board game. Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's any real article there. Gematsu has an article here for the PC and Switch. Story-driven exploration game Some Distant Memory has been announced, due out in late 2019. It looks something like this. There's the trailer here. Seems like you see a lot of shadows. Perhaps finding other people's memories and then seeing them. TechRaptor has a review here. Oninaki review problematically padded. I wasn't sure about Oninaki. It looked kind of interesting, but then it also looked like a hack 'em beat 'em up game. And it seems like that's kind of all it is. It's just a beat 'em up game, hack and slash. TechRaptor gives it a 5.5. Oninaki manages to pull off some interesting story beats and has some great environment designs. However, the excessive padding and reuse of several gameplay elements leave a sour taste in my mouth, with 20 hours of gameplay stretched into 30 and beyond. Pro's interesting environment, well dealt moral points, lots of combat combat variation, cons, extra padded gameplay, boring hours at the start and end, poor balancing, and stun lock central. I got lucky there. Definitely got lucky. And I'm not even gonna do anything more. So I have a daily quest that I'm gonna have to do off screen over the weekend at some point. Let's just cover the last bits of news and then wrap up the stream. Dusk Diver Developer Diary addresses Steam Early Access player feedback. Player addresses lack of voice acting, monster diversity, and things to do. Okay, you could watch the video, probably translated from Japanese. Dusk Diver, I recognize the name just barely. That's pretty much it. Gamatsu has an article, Disaster Report 4, Summer Memories, Those Who Remain trailer. This is another trailer for Disaster Report, and I still wish Disaster Report was going to come to the West, but I know it isn't. TechRaptor has an article, Corporate Duplicity Adventure, The Bradwell Conspiracy is coming this fall, and that was the really weird trailer. And I think it has something to do with the movie that's coming out. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. Almost certainly that's not going to be good. Gamatsu has a Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch remastered Japanese TV spot. Weird that they'd be doing a remaster of the first Ni no Kuni, but it's coming out for PC, and I guess this is weird. It says a non-remastered Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch is due out September 20th. For what? Switch, I guess? They did need, I guess, remaster the first game somewhat and bring it back out, though, because it is in a weird position where the first game in the series is missing from Steam, and yet the sequel is on Steam. Gamatsu has an article here, Atelier Rydo 1 month before release livestream set for August 28th, an announcement for an announcement. Gamatsu has an article here, Trials of Mana, Gamescom 2019 Gameplay Update 3. That's PC, PS4, and Switch. So we've got more videos of the latest, I guess, Mana game in the Mana series. Which, I don't know where the Mana series really lands as far as JRPGs I might play. Gamatsu has an article for a PC game here. Death March Club vanilla voice actor reveal video. So, yeah. I haven't heard of Death March Club, and I don't know if it's coming to the West. And let's see. TechRaptor has an article here. Oddworld Soulstorm is an Epic Games exclusive. Devs preemptively address the backlash. So, yeah. The Oddworld series, never a series that I've been able to get into or like. So, no surprise to me that they would take the money and run, because they kind of needed to do that. They need to reboot the Oddworld series and make it some kind of gameplay mechanic that actually works for modern time. Next we have a turn-based RPG game called Mistover that launches October 10th for the PS4, Switch, and PC. Apparently it has a Steam page. So I guess we don't really need to do anything with that. And that puts me at the Humble Bundle. I think I just have a bunch of other tabs open after the Humble Bundle. Let's see, where are we with bundles? yeah, there's no new bundles, and it's 3 days until the Jackbox Party bundle is done, which makes me think there won't be any new bundles. And then I could look at my Twitter feed really quickly, but I'm falling asleep right now, so I'm not even going to really bother to do that. So if any more news happens, or if I miss any news, apologies. Again, it was a choice between streaming early or streaming extremely late. As it is, if I fall asleep right now, probably 8 to 12 hours from now would have been the time I started streaming, if I'd started late. That's going to be it for the stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.